Welcome to Queen City Cyber Consulting's channel.
Good morning, Queen City Cyber Consulting followers, listeners, watchers, whomever you may be. Welcome to August 11th. It's a Tuesday, and things are just continuing to move along in the cybersecurity world. If you're not familiar with it, this is continuous, constant updating of cyber threat intelligence, updating of indicators of compromise. The list goes on and on. Well, yesterday, an advisory was released by CISA, the FBI, and others, warning about Gunra ransomware, active VPN, and firewall exploitation. So, I guess technically here the question becomes, what do you do when the very systems you bought and implemented for defense are taken by the attackers and used for offense? That's probably a topic for another video, but it happens all the time, and here it is no different. So both the US and South Korea have issued warnings on this about Gunra. It is a ransomware as a service operation, and you need to understand a little bit here. Ransomware, it's not a ubiquitous term, it's a tool. And as a service appended to ransomware means that the originators of the malicious files that infect your systems and corrupt your data and then demand a ransom are actually selling that program, that code, as a service, no different than software as a service or platform as a service or whatever as a service you may use. It's built so they can make money, and that's what these attackers are all about. It is built on the leaked Conti code that was very popular 2-3 years ago. It is actively, as of August 10th, which was yesterday, exploiting known Fortinet vulnerabilities and also weak VPN controls. Now, VPN is virtual private network, and it's used by a lot of organizations, a lot of companies to control access to their environments. However, oftentimes the VPN itself is vulnerable to attack. And of course, a security tool that is vulnerable to attack that turns around and becomes an offensive tool in the hands of those who want to breach the network. So they use it to breach your network. They use it to bypass multi-factor authentication. Now, you're probably getting tired of hearing that term, but it is one that is very popular and well known in cybersecurity, and it's not going away anytime soon. It'll be around for a while, even though there are bypasses to it. And they utilize the double extortion attack to get into your network and then hit you twice. So the threat is Gunra ransomware, which is ransomware as a service, or it's also called Golden Community. The sources come from, like I've said, multiple different ones. Even South Korea issued an alert on this. Their entry point, we've hit internet-facing VPN gateways, firewalls, and RDP infrastructure. Who's at risk? This is where your ears should peak up if you're in one of these sectors of business: government, healthcare, finance, manufacturing, transportation, utilities, education, media, retail. In other words, practically everybody is at risk from this attack. So it goes all the way back to April of last year. That is where the FBI first started seeing it as a double extortion ransomware strain, and moving into 2026, it began its full ransomware as a service operation recruiting pen testers and quote unquote ethical hackers. That's a definition that you'll see on some tests and probably run across in some interviews if you're going into the penetration testing field. Technically, these are no longer ethical hackers. If they get recruited by a ransomware group, they become unethical hackers or criminals. It is ongoing. They have rebranded themselves and they're now using the alias Golden Community, and it is picking up steam. Now, this month in August, the FBI, CISA, the NSA, South Korea, and others have issued a joint advisory, which you can find here. This is the joint advisory. I'll include a link to this in the comments or in the title of this video so that you can find it yourself. Now, as we go through the process of examining this, we need to be aware of how it unfolds. So you get a 4-stage attack chain. Remember the Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain? Same principle applied to the intrusion. So they get their initial access. What's amazing is these CVEs are from 2024 and 2025, but they allow authorization bypass for Fortinet systems. They use default credentials. Remember I talked about in the video yesterday? And once they get in, they modify the VDI portal to accept an attacker-controlled one-time password, which just shuts MFA out of the picture. Then they perform lateral movement. They start pivoting throughout the network, trying to find the Active Directory, trying to find file share servers, any admin desktops that are connected. They use Mpacket as one of the tools that they use to move data over SMB. And finally, they use their encryption software. They delete shadow copies and try to destroy any backups that are on the system, which is why backups should never be stored locally. We'll have to get into that in another video. It's kind of cyber hygiene at this point in time, this day and age. When it executes, that's when most companies sadly actually pick up on what's happening, and it's too late at this point. You're too late in the cyber kill chain. You're already infected. You're already a victim. The double extortion model is where once they're in the network, they find the data that they want, they exfil it before they encrypt your network. Then they swing back in. Not only do they want you to pay a ransom to unencrypt your now encrypted network, but if you don't pay, they'll still release the data. So you get a double-edged sword there when this happens. So what should you do? Well, here are some recommended actions. Patch. Can't say that enough. I know everybody hates patches on the security side or the IT side of the house because sometimes patches break things. Well, guess what else breaks things? Ransomware and data exfiltration. It's a risk assessment, a cost risk assessment that you have to make. Do you want your data out there or do you want a patch? And frankly, these things are so old. 2024 is 2 years ago and 2025 is last year. Why haven't they been patched yet? You need to be auditing your MFA, your VPN login files, looking for anomalies, looking for unauthorized attempts to log in. You need to make sure your backups are hardened, like I mentioned just a bit ago here. They should be offline and immutable in a physically separate segmented location. And you better be testing your recovery processes to make sure you can get it back quickly. Any exposed credentials, again, should just not even exist in the world today, but they do. We talked about that in the video yesterday. Segment your network. Definitely segmentation's huge. You've got to do that. And then you need to restrict lateral movement. SMB, RDB traffic between different segments within your network should not be happening. And if it does, it should be sparking off alerts. to stop it, for you to investigate it and make sure that there's nothing nefarious going on within your environment. So as we look at what's happening, they have put out, and you can see it's the FBI, CISA, DC3, NSA, USSS, United States Secret Service, and Korea. Here are some IOCs that they like to use. So you got FileZilla, MAS, it goes on. You can find these IOCs. You can find indicators of compromise. These should be blocked, these IP addresses. And you can see that here's another domain, .onion. I would hope you don't allow .onion traffic onto your network. You've got different email addresses. You've got some QTalks IDs. You've got these tools with their hashes that you can block using your EDR. And then, of course, MITRE attack breakdowns down through here. So this link is important to you if you work cybersecurity or IT, because you can use those IOCs to enhance your security process and stop this kind of attack, because it is ongoing. It is happening on August 11th today. And that's why this advisory came out yesterday, because it's ongoing. So patch your systems, test your backups, and use those IOCs to secure your network. Queen City Cyber Consulting saying good day, and we will probably talk again soon. Go forth and conquer.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.